An immaculate inning. 9-pitch, 3 strikeout. Rarely happens in baseball.
Welcome, everybody, to the Immaculate Inning Podcast. Oh, man. Oh, man, Shane.
Woo-wee.
Some things have changed since the
Wow.
last time we've talked.
Yeah.
Oh,
We kind of talked about it, me and Drew, before, but I think the only way to begin is to say sorry to the Diamondbacks, and
Yep.
applaud the Snakes, NLCS winners, National League pennant champions, are heading to the World Series for the first time since they won it in 2001. This is awesome. I love to see it. This was the team I picked to cheer for in the NL, and nobody thought anything of them. I didn't really trust them, to be honest. I was cheering for them, but I doubted them. I thought the series was over when Philly went up 2-0. This is awesome to see, Drew. I love it.
yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, but snakes alive, baby. Snakes alive. So, but I mean, yeah, kind of, I guess, we can go ahead and jump straight into the series. I feel like this is the big thing that we're going to be talking about today is the NLCS. Obviously, we'll touch on the ALCS a little bit as that got wrapped up, but yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks got back to Diamondbacks baseball. They got back to causing chaos, got back to put the ball in play, making plays on defense, and specifically running the bases aggressively. I think through the first 5 games they had no stolen bases, right? And then in the last 2 games they had a large amount. And I know Christian Walker had several stolen bases. Lourdes Gurriel had several stolen bases. Obviously, Corbin Carroll had 2, as he's the first rookie in MLB history in a Game 7 game to have 2 RBIs and 2 stolen bases. Obviously, he turned his whole series around in Game 7 with his 3-hit performance. Ketel Marte had several stolen bases, so it was good to see them. It was good to see them kind of get back to what they're known for and really, really get back to themselves. And I think that's why they were able to, win the series. Obviously, when you look at their pitching staff, a lot of them had the best month of their season, if not their careers. So, because the big outlier was Zach Gallen was really the one who struggled, who was supposed to be the bona fide ace, who was supposed to come in and really give them a shot to win, really didn't give them a great shot to win. So Merrill Kelly deserves some big props after his Game 6 performance in the bank. His Game 2 performance wasn't necessarily awful, but wasn't great. He had some comments about the Phillies fans, the atmosphere, and all that. And Phillies fans were up in arms about that. But Game 6 in the bank, he came out and he shoved 5 innings, no runs, nine strikeouts, I believe. Manager pulled him, was not happy about that. Visibly was unhappy about that. A little bit of a questionable decision there. Ended up working out for the D-backs. But the D-backs have been very, very insistent on not letting their pitchers see guys a third time through the order. Both these teams really have been good about that outside of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler for the Phillies just because of their dominance. But these teams have really been hunting matchups with bullpen arms, pinch hitting, and stuff like that. So the Phillies they didn't get it done. You had a chance to finish it at home. You couldn't do it in front of your home crowd. Really, the Diamondbacks took the crowd. I can't say took the crowd out of the game, but definitely put a dent in that atmosphere early. Both games they scored first of both games. Game 6, second inning, Tommy Pham and then Lourdes Gurriel go back to back there solo bombs to kind of shock the Phillies fans. So I think this series is more about what the D-backs did right than what the Phillies did wrong. Because outside of Craig Kimbrell being, again, one of the worst pitchers in a non-save situation. In save situations, somehow he's really good. Non-save situation, he just struggles. And then Aaron Nola's Game 6 start, really, you can't complain as a Phillies fan. the Diamondbacks really didn't blow them out of water in any of the games. They just they won the close games, and the offense wasn't able to pick up the slack.
Yeah, I mean, I want to cover so many guys in this series and on both sides. I think just the way we go about it, or the way I'm gonna go about it, is kind of go from the Philly side first. 'Cause I do think there's some standout performers, and then some guys that maybe we can look back on and be like, oh, this performance really did end their season per se. One guy that I want to give huge props to, respect him, is Zach Wheeler. Um,
Yep.
2 great starts, and then comes out and pitches another an inning, 2/3 scoreless for them last night. That guy's a dog. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to give him his props, man.
In the
Um,
postseason, he's
one
one
of
of the
the
best.
Yeah, he is, and this was actually mentioned on the podcast. Like, we mentioned a lot, baseball is dead, but the Zach Wheeler contract could be one of the best complete pitching contracts ever. Just um, him being healthy for the extent of the contract, him being productive for the extent of the contract. It could be one of the best, especially with this playoff performance. So
Oh yeah.
huge shout out to him. Um, Another guy I want to point out is Jose Alvarado. We kind of know what he is. Absolute dog. He did give up, I believe, was his first earned run of the playoffs in Game 7. But I still want to give him his props because him, Hoffman, um, Dominguez, even Kerkering, the rookie they brought up,
Mhm.
really did a good job. Kerkering did falter a little bit at the end. Even Matt Strom has not allowed.
Yep.
He didn't allow an earned run in the postseason. So Phillies fought their butts off. Ranger Suarez, even those guys. And then the offensive side, I want to point out 2 guys that really did jack squat at NLCS. And the first one, everybody knows it. Nicholas Castellanos, his first step out of the NLCS, hits a bomb off of Zach Gallen, and then proceeds to go 0 for 23 the rest of the series. I mean, he really pushed them to that NLDS win. And I have a take on this, Drew, but from your viewing, like what really changed in his? I mean, I know stuff can happen, but what do you think changed for him from series to series?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously you see hitters just get hot and cold and not necessarily anything changes. Um, I think I would like to go I wish I had watched this series. Like, I wish I'd watched this in the Braves series a little bit closer. Like, I wish I had time to like sit down and watch every single game, kind of like unpack how the pitchers are attacking hitters and stuff like that. But I just think that, like, I think the Phillies did a better job of not giving Castellanos anything to hit. I think one thing that the Braves pitchers really struggled with against the Phillies this past series was leaving a lot of balls over the plate, catching too much plate with 2 strikes, or just floating stuff in very hittable spots, not necessarily down the middle, but maybe in hitters hot spots. And I think the Phillies really did the D-backs did a really good job of targeting the cold spots, specifically their bullpen, and Kelly and Fott, I think is how you say it. It's Fott. Brandon Fott. And
We'll get to him later. Trust
we
me.
will get to him later. Oh boy. Um but the way that they attack their hitters, they weren't aggressive, and they located their pitches well. Like, they were able to kind of work out of some trouble by, not being scared of this Phillies lineup, but not being afraid to like throw a couple balls or throw some throwaway pitches just to kind of keep these hitters off balance. So I don't think the mindset changed. I mean, Castellanos is a pretty much just swing at everything guy. He's gonna go up there and swing the bat and try to hit it hard. And I think that the D-backs just did a good job this series of limiting the damage that he can do, and kind of just like pitching him well, like just pitching away from his strengths. So I don't think anything changed for Castellanos. I think he just had an off series, and the D-backs found some stuff that they liked and they exploited it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to the point that you said. swung at so many bad pitches this series. It was atrocious. I think that's something he really locked in for the Braves series. And then, like you said, they left a lot of pitches there, but he was swinging at some, especially early in the count, was just getting fooled by breaking pitches really bad. So that led him to have .278 OPS in the NLCS, which was garbage.
I
Along with
believe
guys that were super disappointing. Go
I
ahead.
believe that he had the highest OPS in the NLDS and then the lowest OPS in the NLCS. So
That sounds right. I mean, I can't imagine anybody has a lower than a 278 OPS.
yeah,
I don't have the NLDS stats in front of me, but
yeah.
yeah, that's atrocious. Another guy that's kind of was a disappointment, Trey Turner went 5 for 25 in the NLCS, batted 200 with a 636 OPS. No home runs. Excuse me, one home run. Um, Also, I mean, you can even say Bryce Harper, 217 for NLCS, 5 for 23. He did have an 858 OPS that comes from his two bombs, but I'd even say that was a little bit of a disappointment. JT Realmuto, 259, so not terrible. The two guys that really only produced for them were Brandon Marsh had a great series, batted
Yep, he did.
333, 866 OPS, and then Kyle Schwarber was out of his mind. Five bombs, 364 average, a 1670 OPS over the series. So he was ridiculous, like Kyle Schwarber always is in the postseason. But other than that, really lacking. Um, and then the pitching side, we did already point out some guys. Again, Zach Wheeler really had a great series. Aaron Nola did give up some runs, but their bullpen stayed strong. Other than Kimbrel, which
Hmm.
I mean, you got to go back to the Alec Thomas home run in Phoenix. That really, I think, obviously changed the tide of the series. So, do you have any comments on any Phillies guys you want to hit on? I was going to move on to the Diamondbacks
I
guys.
mean, I think my biggest takeaway is just Castellanos regressing so much, and then also Trey Turner. Like both, like Castellanos, I think is a guy who I'm not necessarily as surprised about, but I think the reason that this is such a big deal is because how good he has been. I think that nobody expected him to be that good to lead the NLDS and OPS and stuff like that, and I think he's exceeded expectations as a hitter. And so kind of seeing that in comparison to how he hit during the NLCS is really, really stark and kind of makes you wonder why. But so I think, I think that if you're the Phillies, you want something more in the middle, you need him to be a little bit more consistent, maybe next postseason. So that was kind of a big takeaway of mine. And then also Trey Turner. I mean, we've seen this year. I mean, Turner, he's been a streaky player. Like he has not been the kind of consistent do it all guy. One of the best defensive shortstops in the game, while also being one of the best hitters, while also stealing a ton of bases. I mean, it took him until late July to really get going at the plate, and then just to kind of see him fall flat on his face. Like he played well against the Braves, but he still wasn't great. To see him kind of to come falling down like this was really interesting. So we'll see how the rest of this contract plays out. But I mean, this could be an interesting development. $300 million player. So I think he'll be fine. I think this year was just a fluke, just adjusting and stuff like that. But we'll have to see what comes from this. So he just didn't. Turner just didn't look comfortable at the plate. Is kind of my thing. He just looked uncomfortable and looked like he was guessing and was missing pitches he shouldn't miss and all that. So
Yeah, I mean, and I still do want to point out, I mean, that the Phillies, this is their second straight NLCS appearance. Like this team is proven like they're good. I mean, World Series last year, NLCS, that's impressive, no matter what way you put it. I mean, they opened up the year with the fourth highest payroll in baseball, 243 million, and the Arizona Diamondbacks were 21st highest with 116 million. So under half of what the Philadelphia Phillies pay their players, which is pretty cool, in my book. So with that, I think we get into some of the studs on the Snakes team. fired me up. A lot of these guys. Where do I even start? I think we go with the most obvious guy. We start with NLCS MVP Ketel Marte, who I love. Always been a huge fan of Ketel Marte. Switch hitter, athletic guy, strong, can really do it all. Hear this slash line, Drew. He went 12 for 31, right? 387 batting average, a 987 OPS. Yeah, one stolen base. Let me see, 4 doubles and a triple. This guy raked.
Oh yeah.
Just a guy, man. He's an MLB Show legend. I used him, switch hitter, goat in the game. But I'm super happy for him. It was really cool to see him celebrating all that on the field. Some guys in the middle. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. batted 259 with 730 OPS. Gabriel Moreno 296 with 700 OPS. Perdomo had himself a series of 333 average with an 818 OPS. Even the pinch hitter like Peyton Smith 333. He was 3 for 9 in his pinch hit appearances. So guys like that really made a big difference. And Corbin Carroll had only 3 hits going into Game 7 and posted a 3 for 3 night. Yeah, 222 batting average with a 489 OPS over the series, but that does not matter. It's all overshadowed by that Game 7 performance where he stole his only 2 stolen bases in the series. And yes, that is correct. I believe the stat is they stole 1 bag for the first 5 games and stole 8 in Game 6 and 7. So I think that was the biggest thing, just putting pressure. They got guys in scoring position. They were second in the league in stolen bases, only behind the Reds in the regular season. Just putting that pressure and getting the people in scoring positions, just less room for error. And Alvarado made a mistake, allowed, I believe it was Corbin Carroll to hit that single up the middle, stuff like that. So just getting guys and putting pressure, like the Phillies did on the Braves, really.
Yeah.
And again, to the pitching side, this fires me up so much, dude. Some of these guys. We'll shout out Merrill Kelly. Even Zach Gallen, who didn't have a great, but I mean, he put 11 innings pitched. Merrill Kelly, 10 2/3. We'll start with Paul Sewald. 4 scoreless innings, 2 saves. I love me some Paul Sewald. Low release angle, 93-94, missing the bat.
Yeah, man. Gets that almost like almost floater action off the 93. So him and Alexis Diaz, very similar fastballs.
Christian Javier too.
And Christian Javier, yep, they've got that low release point, not great velo, but it gets that spin on it and just kind of rides the spin and really doesn't drop a bunch and gets those that's why he had those. That's why he gets a lot of pop-ups, a lot of swing and misses there on the fastballs. People are getting under it. They think it's going to be lower. So,
yeah, he allowed 1 hit and 1 walk in 4 innings. So, it's really hell of a performance from him. Yeah, it is. Ryan Thompson, 5 2/3 innings, only 1 run. Former Campbell guy, former Big South, although I guess they're not longer in the Big South. He was phenomenal. Bring in that sidearm. Release angle was really cool. He was awesome. And then, dude, this guy fires me up so much. Kevin freaking Ginkel, dude.
Yes, I was hoping that you were going to mention him. Oh, yes, dude. What a game. What a postseason, but what a Game 7, too. Oh, man.
Yes. 4 outs that were just – so I believe – I can't remember. He came in, got a batted out somehow. Comes in the 8th, strikes out the side to the tune of Bohm, Stott, Castellanos.
Just wicked sliders.
Dude, those things are – I don't even know how it's a slider. It's straight down. It's a buzzsaw.
It's
the most buzzsaw
almost.
It's disgusting.
Like
it's a buzzsaw breaking ball at 88 to 90. Yeah. Just disgusting. And when pair it with a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball, the guy's electric. He was yelling off the mound.
Oh, yeah.
I was debating, like, dude, is this guy going to get the NLCS MVP? Like, legitimately had me thinking. I know Ketel Marte had a crazy series, but he pitched 4 2/3 scoreless, 2 hits, no walks, 5 Ks over that, and just the magnitude of the innings that he was in.
I believe
Awesome.
him and Seawald have yet to give up a earned run so far in the series. Or in the postseason, sorry, not the series, but the whole postseason. I believe that they have not, both of them have not given up a run yet. So
I believe that. I mean, that basically means he gets the 8th and 9th, and the Diamondbacks are winning. The game's over. Is what that means right
yep.
now. Kind of a surprising best setup in closer this part of the season. I mean, I know Batista's out for the playoffs, but you suspect someone like the Orioles with Cano and Batista, like that, somebody like that. So that's awesome. And then my favorite name from this playoff so far is Brandon Pfaadt. Holy crap, this kid's got ice in his veins.
Rookie.
What was it? Yeah, Game 3. He's a 25-year-old. This is rookie year. Game 3 performance, 5 2/3 scoreless, 9 Ks. Huge, obviously. And then yesterday, 4 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. And you may say, "Oh, that's a all right start." I mean, he really put them in a position to win. When I mean, he was their last start of the Diamondbacks had, put them in a position to win.
Yeah, and
I know. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I would just like to say one thing about that Game 7 start for him. Like, it wasn't great. Like, only 4 or whatever it was, and 2 earned runs. But if you look at that final out that he gets there at the end of the 4th inning or whatever, like he kind of pitches around Brandon Marsh, who's been really hot this year. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this clip, but where they kind of pan over to the pitching coach, which that guy is a genius. I've watched a few of his videos, and like really the first guy to kind of introduce tunneling or the term tunneling and stuff like that, like kind of how to like pitch signals and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to look him up on YouTube later and watch more of his videos and more of like his philosophy and stuff. But kind of see him go, hey man, like, you know, let's be smart here. Talking about pitching against Brandon Marsh, righty on lefty there. Kind of pitches around Marsh, walks him. So you got 2 outs, runners on first and second, and then Johan Rojas, correct?
Yeah,
the rookie
that is
center fielder
130
for
in the
Phillies.
series.
Yep. Just not a strong hitter, really out there for his defense, and because he's a better hitter than Christian Pache. So somehow. But you just see him just go right at him and strike him out. And I mean, just a guy who, you know, I mean, it was clutch. I mean, he got him through 4 innings and was able to hand it over to the bullpen that's been lights out this postseason. And, you know, so just kind of seeing him being able to just like, you know, a lot of times you see young guys in those situations, they're going to bear down and they're going to try to get everybody out and they're going to make mistakes. And to see him kind of take that second, listen to his pitching coach, and kind of pitch around probably the Phillies' hottest hitter at the time, Brandon Marsh, to go at the weaker hitter and then expose that guy and really really expose him and get the out there. Is super awesome to see. So I think we'll be seeing big things from him in the future. I think that 5.75 ERA is from the regular season. I don't know if we're going to see something like that again. This guy seems to have it and he's got great stuff too. I mean, watching like his slider sweeper is disgusting. He's got a decent changeup.
Disgusting.
And his
sorry, I just want to
fastball
add quickly.
Yeah.
No, I just want to say to your point, even if something bad goes with Rojas, you got the hottest player in the postseason, Kyle Schwarber, coming up behind him. So he's a dog. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I think we're gonna see big things from this kid moving forward. One of the YouTubers that I watch, Foolish Bailey, he does like lots of super smart guy, does all the sorts of kind of like stuff with like expected stats and StatCast and all that, and he understands that. So he kind of does like 5 pitchers, 5 hitters, and 5 players I like for before each season. And one guy he picked was Brandon Pfaadt, who obviously didn't live up to expectations this year, but I think that we'll be seeing some big things from him. So this is the guy who's got great underlying stuff, and if he can kind of figure it out and be consistent, like he's gonna be a really good pitcher.
Yeah, and I like him even more because he's not one of these like young guys that you see just throws fuel. I mean, he's 93 to 96. Not that that's not hard. That's an above average fastball. I think the average fastball is like 93.8 or something. It's like 94 at this point. But just he uses that sweeper great. He's got a good changeup. Can be very talented. And I think we did a good job covering a lot of things. The one thing I did want to point out and maybe get your opinion on, Drew, 'Cause, I mean, I'm trying to be critical too, but the biggest thing for me for the Diamondbacks was their bad performances from their left-handed relievers. Joe Mantiply uh,
Mhm.
posted a 10.13 ERA. Only pitched 2 2/3 in the series, and then this I don't agree with this. It was yesterday brought in Sal Frank,
Yeah,
that
that was I
rookie
didn't like
left-hander.
that. That was
He just been losing his composure too. He has a 9
Mhm.
ERA over the series, only 2 innings. So their uh their pitchers, their left-handed relievers only pitched 4 2/3, um, and did not look good, which I think is probably their biggest weakness right now going to the Rangers series, is that they just don't have a left-handed arm really that's reliable in that bullpen.
yeah, and I think they might be able to get away with this maybe, but I think too, like when you look at the Phillies lineup, like going matchup to matchup, trying to get your lefties against their lefties, like really isn't going to work. Like Bryce Harper, like one of the greatest hitters on the planet right now, probably only second to Yordan Alvarez, another lefty who crushes lefties. So I mean, like really, they're the two best lefties that they have in that lineup. The Phillies are probably Kyle Schwarber and um, Bryce Harper. Obviously, Brendan Marsh is a lefty, so that would be a matchup that you kind of hunt there too. But so I think that like bringing in lefties there in that situation is really not going to help you out too much, just because of how good Schwarber and Harper are. But I do think that they're going to need to step up, like Sal Frank, right? That's how you say it. That's how you say his name. Um,
Yeah, and sorry, I forgot. They do have Kyle Nelson too, but he didn't pitch great. He pitched 2 innings with a 4.5 ERA too. So
so yeah, like Sal Frank's really gonna have to step up. They love his curveball. I mean, just watching those two batters that he walked there last night, I mean, just it was curveball after curveball after curveball, just sitting below the zone, below the zone, below the zone, really trying to get that swing and miss. Really wasn't using a lot of fastballs. I think one of those guys was Kyle Schwarber, so he's really trying to get around Schwarber there, but he's gonna have to step up. I know he's a rookie and I know he's young, but got to be able to be competitive and throw competitive pitches, especially in that situation when your team's got a lead and you're just trying to get outs. Like you can't, like if you give up a base hit, that's okay. But like, walks are gonna kill you. Luckily, Kevin Ginkel was able to step up and right the ship. But yeah, I mean, and then like Joe Mantiply, like that's a guy who's really not seen. Like I don't like he's not been a great reliever. Like he's had some moments, but so I'm a little okay with him kind of struggling and all that, and I think he'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, just gotta figure it out. I think, but Mantiply did pitch in that game 3, correct? The bullpen, no, the game 4 that the Diamondbacks won, where they threw like 8 relievers, right? That was the game that Mantiply started.
you're talking about yes, the 65 win, the Alec Thomas game.
Yes,
That's the
game
one.
4. I
Yes,
don't think I think he pitched well in that first inning, but outside of that, he really did struggle.
he pitched 4 times in the series. Actually, I mean, to give him credit now, looking at the game log, all 3 runs he did give up were in that first appearance in the 10-0 loss in, I believe it
Okay.
was game 1.
Yeah,
But
that was game 2.
I mean, game 2, excuse me.
Yeah.
But he did post 2 1/3 scoreless after that. I mean, he
Okay.
just seems to be their go-to lefty arm,
Yeah.
especially the Brewers and
They used
Dodgers
him
series.
very
He was
heavily.
lights out. Like he's
Oh yeah.
really good. So I'm hoping he gets back to that point. And Kyle Nelson, I don't really know much about him. Appeared twice. I didn't hear him just know his name until I looked at
Yeah.
the stat sheet. But I'd heard of South Rank. Not a huge fan of him. He just does not have his. I don't know if you see him in the dugout after they showed clips. Like he just has a temper. It seems like, and
Mhm.
maybe I'm a little quick to judge, but I just
Yeah,
that
that's
person, Joe Mantiply, a little older, has more experience.
yeah. So
Um, with that, do we get on to the ALCS?
yeah, I mean, just the game 7 is all we have to talk about, right?
Did we talk about? I can't remember. I mean,
Let's
I
see.
feel like there's
So
so much.
let's let's take a look
I know
real
I feel like we have a lot
fast.
more to talk about.
Really? I thought we had covered
No,
everything up to the game 7. Let's see. So last
No, we didn't cover. We haven't covered past game. We covered game 1 and 2, and that was it.
Really?
It was 2-0 Rangers. Yeah, because game 3 was last Wednesday. Game 4 is last Thursday.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Then last Friday. We got a lot more to talk
Oh,
about,
yeah, we
dude.
do
Don't
have a
try to
lot to talk
take
about.
away content from the fans.
Oh, my bad, my bad. We just had so much
I
happen.
think
I thought that had happened longer ago. There's so much has happened in the past week. So baseball wise,
where's the cowboy hat, Drew? Just a little question.
cowboy hat. Let's see
Is
if I can
that
find
something
it.
you have to go get?
Oh nope,
I
it's
feel,
right here in the same spot it always is. Oh,
ooh,
Woo, boy,
that looks like a
Rangers.
ranger right there.
Them Rangers. They
The
scared
Lone Star
us.
Series.
Didn't think they could do it,
Yeah.
but they pulled it out in the end. Adolis Garcia, baby, give him some boots and a cowboy hat because he is on fire. Oh my goodness. I mean, what a series. I mean, we just get done talking about a great series and we get to go talk about another great series. These two championship series, the AL and the NL, have been excellent. Just so good. Great series to talk about. Where should we start, Shane?
I think I just want to point out the fact first that the road team won every single game in this series, which is nuts to me.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And I mean, even looking at the Diamondback series, the road team won what, 5 out of 7 times?
The
It's
Diamondbacks?
the only no, excuse me, that's
The home team
incorrect.
was the opposite.
Three out of 7 times.
Yeah.
The away team won. I think we start with the guy you just mentioned, the Adolis Garcia, ALCS MVP, correct? I didn't actually catch who
Yes,
they named, but I cannot.
yeah.
It's got
Yes,
to
you
be
got
him.
it. It could have went to Jordan Montgomery, but they gave it to Adolis Garcia. So
He went 10 for 28, 5 bombs, 15 RBIs, the 357 average, and a 1293 OPS. Good Lord. That's scary.
yeah,
How do you even face him at this point? Like he's just like even that home run that he hit in game 7, I believe it was 8th inning or something that like snuck over the wall. He looked like
that
he
Oppo
poked
one.
that ball.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
the
I
pull
think I
side one over
go.
the Crawford boxes.
Yeah, I would say if I'm pitching to Adolis Garcia and I am Zach Gallen, game 1, I've got a stat, especially because I don't have great velo. I'm 90, 93, 95 a gallon, I think is he sits right in there. I've either got to establish the slider on the outside corner early or I've got to establish the fastball up and in early. If I can establish one of those two, it unlocks really Garcia's weaknesses. If you can kind of get that high fastball established early, if you can get it in there for a strike or really just back him off the plate, get him thinking a second, you can kind of spam sliders on that outside corner if it's righty. And just kind of go slider away. And I mean, I've seen it time and time again. Adolis Garcia, he sees it. He thinks it's going to be, middle out of third, and he just flies off it. And, it's a slider and it just ducks right at the last minute. I think Kevin Ginkel is going to be very effective against Adolis Garcia with that tight, hard, just quick, big bite slider is really going to help. Is really going to be the X factor, I think, this series in minimizing Adolis Garcia. But yeah, I mean, he's scary. I mean, this whole lineup's scary. When you think about it, you've got Corey Seager. I mean, Marcus Semien's been awful this series, but he's not striking out. He's still walking and striking out like at the same percentage. And there's chance you've got Evan Carter. I mean, just like this whole Jonah Heim, Nathaniel Lau, Josh Young. I mean, this whole lineup is really good. So
Yeah. So I mean, talking about Simeon, you're right that he walked 4 times and only struck out twice in the series, despite batting 207, which obviously for a guy of that standard, you don't really like to see that number. Only an OPS of 510. Went 6 for 29. But I guess putting the balls in play does make a big difference. And Adolis Garcia, obviously great. Corey Seager, 258, 819 OPS, 2 bombs, 3 RBIs, 5 strikeouts. Um, the Rangers slugged 15 home runs in this series, which is crazy. It's got to be up there for the most all time in an LC or ALCS. I don't know. I tried to look it up real quick. It did not look like a quick search. But uh, that's crazy. Only six stolen bases. Um, Leody Taveras with 2 of those, and Evan Carter with another 2 of those. The guy you talked about. Yeah, a lot of thump in this lineup. We know that Nathaniel Wow, 2 bombs. Josh Jung, two bombs. Jonah Heim, 2 bombs. Mitch Garver with a bomb. So this team's got thump. Is there a specific guy that you're looking to have like a huge performance in this series? Like, I mean, obviously, Adolis Garcia, is he carrying this in? Is Corey Seager going to be World Series MVP, or is somebody going to speak up? Like, are we going to see Evan Kerr take the World Series MVP?
Yeah, I think if you're looking for a guy to step up for the Rangers to really win this series and to kind of maybe go above and beyond, I think it's going to be dependent on Marcus Simeon. I think whether he decides or not decides, but like whether he shows up or not is really going to make or break this series for the Rangers. Like if he doesn't hit, I could still see them winning. Definitely. They've got a really good front 2 in the rotation, and then with Scherzer as a 3 kind of bullpen-ish type thing, like they're solidly built to win. That the bullpen scares me, but yeah, I think in the lineup, like, it is going to be Marcus Simeon. Like, if he can hit the way that we know he can, he's been runner-up MVP like twice now, right? Or like top 3. Like, he's been there. He's been one of the most simultaneously inconsistent and consistent hitters for the last few years. He plays almost every day. He does kind of have a little bit of roller coaster season sometimes where he's hot and he's cold, but he's out there every day. He does the same thing. It just it's kind of the way the apple falls sometimes for him. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Marcus Simeon. He's gonna if he shows up the way we know he can, like I think the Rangers win just because of just how good of a hitter he is.
Yeah. And before we get into the pick for both teams, kind of go to the offensive side for the Astros. Um, I can't believe I'm about to read this correctly. Yordan Alvarez, 481 batting average this series with a 1309 OPS, 2 bombs, 9 RBIs. He went 13 for 27 and struck out in time and still batted 481. The dude takes hacks when he's up there. And then Jose Altuve, 13 batting average, 1040 OPS with 3 home runs, which puts him at 27, 2 behind Manny Ramirez for the postseason lead of all time. Very realistic that he is the leader at some point. The controversial question I wanted to bring up is Jose Altuve the best postseason hitter of all time? There's a legitimate case for this. I mean, I know that he's been so many times, but dude, he's produced every single time.
He shows up,
even if the trash can's banging or not. I mean, he's produced.
Yeah, that's that's a tough question. I mean, I'm almost inclined to say, I don't know. I think as good as he has been, I think he's also been boosted a lot by a good lineup. Like a guy like him could potentially be exposed if the lineup that's around him is not as great. We kind of talk about protecting your hitters and kind of cushioning like your best hitters and stuff like that. Like, Jose Altuve, like you kind of have to pitch to him because he's at the top of the lineup. He usually hits first or second. And while he has great power for his size, like if you walk him, you've got Kyle Tucker, you've got Yordan Alvarez, you've got Alex Bregman, you've got Michael Brantley when he's healthy. Like you've got these like big power bats. Michael Brantley isn't exactly a big power guy, but like really great hitter behind him. And so I think it's more of a product of like just getting good pitches to hit as opposed like where some of these other teams like maybe some of these other like great postseason hitters aren't exactly protected the way Jose Altuve is. You know, if that makes sense. Like you have to throw to him because if you don't, like I mean, who knows what the damage is going to be? I mean, you know, like you said, Jordan almost deserves to win ALCS, even though his team lost with how well he hit. Like he just rakes. So maybe in a season or two, if he kind of continues this, if he overtakes Manny for most career postseason home runs and kind of does that, maybe after a season or two, we can call that. But I think right now, I'm inclined to say no, just because like of his protection, like who's behind him in the lineup. So.
There's definitely an argument for it. So maybe I mean, I don't think this is the last time he'll be in the postseason. And I think he will eventually break that record. That seems pretty easily if he continues the production that he does. I think for the Astros, their failure boils down to two guys, and that being Michael Brantley and Kyle Tucker. I mean, Michael Brantley batted 118 with a 426 OPS.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Tucker batted 154 with a 521 OPS. They combined for 0 home runs and 1 RBI. Terrible.
Yeah, it looks like Shane just cut out. So that was one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about. I didn't realize that Michael Brantley was hitting so poorly. I mean, obviously he barely played this season, was in and out of the lineup because of injuries. But Kyle Tucker, I mean, that's a guy that you expect to almost be up there with like Jordan Alvarez in terms of like his numbers. Maybe not necessarily as much power numbers, but like, I mean, he's got good speed. He hits the ball really well. And I think the one big takeaway, and this is probably really small, but we saw Kyle Tucker used to be a big no batting gloves guy, one of the only guys in the league to go no batting gloves earlier in the year. Switched to batting gloves. Didn't really affect him. Still was a great hitter this year. But we saw him in the ALCS kind of flip flop back and forth once or twice between batting gloves, no batting gloves. And it just looked like when I see that, like it makes me I assume that the hitter is not comfortable with where they're at. They feel like their swing is off. They feel like something is wrong, and they're trying to do some minor little quick changes that aren't necessarily mechanical, trying to get back into it. So I think he got inside his own head. I mean, and just you know really just sold like Michael Brantley not hitting is one thing, but Kyle Tucker not hitting is really going to hurt that Astros lineup. That's one of their main guys right there. I mean, I think he hits like third or fourth, like or fifth. Like he's right there in the heart of that lineup. Gets a lot of RBI opportunities. Gets on base a lot. So that was really disappointing. I think if I'm an Astros fan, kind of seeing him falter the way he did, seemingly almost for no reason. Like there really was nothing really looked off except for the fact that he just did not look comfortable and looked lost. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I should have included Jeremy Pena in there too. Batted
Oh,
160.
absolutely. Yeah, Pena disappeared. I mean,
yeah.
I think the comparison, like with last year's ALCS, like he had like a 140 OPS plus, and then this postseason, I think he was at like a 25 OPS plus, like complete reversal of a performance at the plate. I mean, really, even all year, like Pena has not been what he was his rookie year. So they're definitely going to look for him to kind of bounce back next year during the regular season and postseason. But yeah, that's definitely a guy that they would have liked to see put up better numbers.
And I mean that drop off, he did drop off from his that postseason last year, the 2022. Everybody got super excited about him. Still think he's super talented. But even this year, I mean, he batted 63 with a 705 OPS. I mean, he was an above average hitter this season and just dunk it out postseason. So that kind of sucks. See, shout out to Mauricio Dubon, who had a really good postseason.
Yeah, Mauricio Dubon played really well. Shane just cut out again. Oh, he's back. I will Shane, I'll let you kind of talk about Mauricio Dubon You
Yeah,
can.
just cut out there for a second. Can you hear me, Drew?
Yes, I can hear you. We are all
Okay.
good.
Sorry about that technical difficulties, but yeah, he batted 300 this series. Um, he had 6 singles were all of his hits, so not a huge extra base guy. Only an OPS of 586 with an average of 300, which is kind of crazy. Uh, yeah, just he deserves out. Now, what I really want to get to is pitching for both teams. This really two tales, two different stories for these teams. On the one side, Rangers pitching, great starting pitching when you look at Montgomery and Evaldi. Montgomery 1.2 ERA through 14 innings. Evaldi 0.65 ERA through 12 and a third. Phenomenal. The bullpen garbage, like we said. I mean, they really just were outmatched. And the other side, the bullpen was not bad. Phil Maton, third innings, 0 runs. Um, Hector Neris, 6 1/3, 2.84 ERA. Ryan Presley, 4 scoreless innings. Hunter Brown, even out of the pen, 5.8 ERA.
Yeah, we just. Oh, Shane may be coming back now again.
Jeez, this is sorry about that. The technical difficulties are getting to me right now, as they are. But continue what I'm saying. Yeah, it really was the Astros starting pitching that stunk, other than Justin Verlander, who had a 4.38 ERA and 12 and a third. Framber Valdez posted a 8.22 ERA. Urquidy posted 8.31 ERA, and Christian Javier posted 7.5 ERA. So what may have been the most deep starting rotation in the playoff or in the CS series did not produce. That really killed them. Got the Rangers as big leads early in the game, and even good bullpen and good performances. He has in the bullpen. The Astros couldn't stop the Rangers. And then on the other side of the ball, like, I can't believe it. That's that good for split four. Is that right? Yeah.
Shane, can you repeat that? You cut it. Oh, Shane's gone again. Dang, sorry about this, everybody. Shane's Wi-Fi is struggling today, but as Shane said, like the complete opposites there for the Rangers and Astros. Astros bullpen was really the highlight of this series for them. Hunter Brown actually did a lot of starting this year for them. Was really good out of the bullpen. Ryan Stanek was good. But yeah, and then the Rangers bullpen was just really bad. Really struggled to give them opportunities to win, and the rotation was really great. It's specifically Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. Max Scherzer did turn in a solid enough like opener start in the game 7. I think he was like two and two and a third or something like that. Like two runs, I think. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he looked better in his second start than the first start. First start was not great, but yeah, I mean, Nasty Nate steps up again in big games. I mean, this has been his whole career. Been really good in the regular season when healthy, has struggled with health issues, but then when the playoffs roll around, he's been lights out. Elimination games, clutch games, important games. I mean, he's lights out. He looked incredible during this series, and I want to talk about Jordan Montgomery and his approach to kind of Yordan Alvarez in that first game because it was just so incredible. He struck out Yordan 3 times in that game. All 3 times he faced him. His second outing wasn't quite as good, but kind of how Montgomery's big lefty guy, big sinker, and then kind of like a big curveball. It's not slow, and it really tunnels well off of his fastball. So at the last minute, it takes more of like just a big kind of downward break. Um, and so the way that he has been able to kind of orchestrate that pitch is he is extremely consistent in his release point between his fastball, curveball, and changeup. They're all within like decimal points of an inch of each other with each pitch every single time. They are all right together. They're coming out of the same spot. So when the pitch is coming out of the same spot, it's extremely hard for hitters, especially when Montgomery's fastball and curveball play so well off of each other. Because Montgomery's fastball comes in 94, not great velo, but decent enough. He's a big guy, gets good extension, adds a little bit more perceived velocity to that. It's coming in. He loves sitting on that inside corner to big lefties, really dominating that big corner, the inside corner, and then is going to snap off curveballs. And Jeff Passan kind of, I believe he called it like the death ball, because it follows that fastball and then at the last minute just dives out of the zone, and it's extremely effective. So Jordan Montgomery had an extremely effective game plan against Yordan Alvarez. There are some things out there saying that, oh, he's hurt, he's sick, or sorry, not hurt, but that he was sick in that first game that may have attributed to those 3 strikeouts. But at the end of the day, Jordan Montgomery's game plan in that game 1 was immaculate, extremely well. He executed perfectly almost every pitch. That was my big takeaway. I mean, I think he could have easily, I think he easily deserved the ALCS MVP. He also came in and gave 2+ ish innings of relief in game 7 to kind of bridge the gap between Max Scherzer's 2 innings and then to get them into those higher leverage arms in the bullpen, because that bullpen's been just awful. So big shout out to Jordan Montgomery. Really, really pitched extremely well. Had a great game plan, great execution, and has definitely risen his free agency price tag for the winter. So we'll see where he goes. I'm sure that will be a big topic of discussion later on in later episodes on the pod. But yeah, I mean, just kind of just the reversals of outings for the Astros. I mean, you look at Christian Javier, who was great in game 3 against the Rangers, I believe, and was great in the NLDS as well. Really struggled in his last start and just looked awful. I mean, Framber Valdez, that's somebody that was supposed to be the ace of this rotation coming into the season. Before he was the ace before they traded for Verlander. Obviously has not lived up to that towards the end of the season, and then the postseason really has not looked great. So yeah, I mean, the rotation, it's got to be better outside of Verlander. I mean, even Verlander wasn't, outside of game 1, wasn't his normal self. And even in game 1, he didn't have great stuff. He just was up there able to compete and put together a good outing. So yeah, definitely it was a really good series. So there goes Shane again. So I guess let's see if he can Shane, can you hear me? Yes.
Okay, cool. I don't know if this is gonna last. We'll be working early in the podcast, but I don't know if you mentioned this guy. I want to point out Josh Spores. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name.
Yes. I did not mention this, but yeah, so perfect. Yeah, you can talk about this.
6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, was really the Rangers' only good relief arm. I mean, I guess you could argue Chapman was not bad, as he only allowed 1 run through 3 2/3. But Spores they used 5 times, and it was really him and
Yeah. So, let's see, Shane. Let's see if he's back.
Yeah, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Jeez, I don't know what the problem is, but anyway, go quick. Those guys, shout out Josh Spores especially, and Leclerc. I mean, although he did have a 7.5 year, did come in some needed.
Yeah. I don't have too much more to say, I guess, on this series, Shane. What's your big takeaway from this series? I guess for either one of the teams.
I mean, like I said, the Diamondbacks left-handed relief is my biggest concern with them. The Rangers overall relief is probably my concern. I mean, they're pretty similar starting pitching, but they have two guys that are
Mhm.
really good, and the third guy right now, obviously Max Scherzer being kind of injured, still coming back from injury, and then I mean Brandon Pfaadt obviously had a great series, but I can't say he's going to go out there and do that every time. Um, so in terms of very similar teams in terms of their team, the Rangers have more help in their back, obviously, but if the Diamondbacks keep coming, it makes it interesting.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. I guess let's I have a trivia question for you, Shane, but before well, perfect. I guess before if Shane's able to make it back before we get onto the trivia question, um I can I guess we could do some World Series predictions. So, oh man, this is really tough. Um hmm, I don't know who I want to go with. Um I
I think I'm
think
back.
Shane, yes, we can hear you, Shane. Perfect, you're back. I was just thinking that we could go into some World Series predictions, and then I do have a trivia question for you, and then we can wrap up.
Okay, I'm gonna say mine quick because you can cut out
Okay.
at any point. But um, oh no, it's the really the honest answer. It's so tough for me to choose right now. Um, the world favors the Rangers, but the Diamondbacks they've been doubted this whole postseason, keep producing. So, oh my goodness, this is so tough. I'm gonna go against the tide. I'm gonna say the D-backs.
Oh man, you
D-backs
know,
in six.
I don't know. I don't know if I can wear this hat anymore. I feel like I have to take it off to make my
Oh,
pick.
the snakes again. The
Dude, I
snakes.
I gotta take I gotta take the Snakes. I mean, just like when I love the Rangers lineup and I think it's really good, but I think it's so hot and cold, and it really concerns me how hot they've been this series because they're hot and cold. It hasn't been like 3 weeks hot, 3 weeks cold. It's been 1 week hot, 1 week cold. So I'm really, especially with like Garcia, and then like Heim and Nathaniel Lau. I love Gabriel Moreno behind the dish. I think he's going to limit the running game. Great defensively, has been extremely, extremely effective in close late game situations as well. Corbin Carroll, I think, is figuring is kind of on the back end of his slump. Lourdes Gurriel, great hitter. Christian Walker, a guy we offhandedly mentioned, maybe has not been great all postseason. I think he turns it around. He's also one of the best defensive first basemen in the league. I think Zach Gallen regains his mojo and deals again. I've got to go. I've got to go Snakes. I think. I mean, I'm gonna go Snakes in six as well. Um, I just think that I think you're right. They've been doubted. I think we've underestimated how good this team is. They've got some really good young pieces, and I think that they are. I think that they'll do it. I don't know, but that starting pitching of the Rangers is super enticing to take, but I'm gonna go Snakes in six.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, again, like I kind of mentioned to you earlier, like this is one of the first World Series I can remember that I wouldn't be upset if one of the teams won. I mean, it would be the second World Series for the Diamondbacks, first since 2001, and then
Mm-hmm.
first ever for the Rangers, which is kind of the reason I want to cheer for them.
Yeah, it
But the
would be really cool.
Diamondbacks are so cool. I think the Rangers will be back before the Diamondbacks. Even though the
Yeah,
Diamondbacks are a
absolutely.
young team, I think the Rangers could be back next year.
Mm-hmm.
I still think like if you told me the Diamondbacks were going to make the World Series next year, I'd be like, oh, that's too early for them.
Yeah,
So the
yeah, I
fact that they're
agree.
in it now, get Corbin Carroll his ring, get Zach Gallen his ring, get those
Yep.
guys the ring, like would be awesome. Um, yeah, and before the trivia question, actually, I had this conversation with a couple of my friends. What do you think the fact that these teams aren't exactly huge markets? I guess Dallas is a bigger market, but like huge markets, not been good the past years. Do you think that hurts TV ratings or helps TV ratings?
I'll be honest. I don't think it should hurt them. Like it's the World Series, and these are two teams that we haven't watched since the Rangers since 2011 was the last time they made the
Mhm.
World Series, and then the Diamondbacks haven't been since they won it in 2001. Like, and it's an explosive Rangers offense with some front end really good pitching and a scary bullpen, and then a really young, scrappy, like kind of not small ball lineup, but they're gonna hit base hits, not a lot of long balls, base hits, steal bases, aggressive base running, good defense. Both these teams are extremely good defensively. They've were first and second in the majors in errors, in errors in terms of like least committed. Um, and then some electric pitching. Like, I think that this is shaping up to be a great series. And I think if you're a baseball fan and you're obviously, like, if you're like a Dodgers or Astros, or if you're a fan of like a team that didn't make it that should have made it, obviously like you can be a little down and out. But if you're not watching because it's the Rangers and the Diamondbacks because they weren't good 2 years ago and they're not big market teams and there's not stars, like these teams have stars, they have future stars, they have current stars right now. I mean, this is going to be a great series. And I think if you're letting like who's in it right now, like based off like the name of their team or whatever, or how they run their franchise, dictate whether you watch or not, I don't think that you are a real baseball fan. Like, I don't think you should even watch if you can't see that. So I hope it doesn't. I mean, I there's no way to tell with all that. I mean, people do what they want and are unpredictable. But I think if you let that affect this, then we don't want you watching anyways. So
I agree. I think it's gonna be electric. I think it's gonna be awesome. I don't really even, and this is the first time I can think like two teams that like there's like no bad feelings for in the general baseball population.
yeah,
Like last year, you could go both ways. Like people overall don't like Phillies fans, can maybe say they're a little outrageous, kind of obnoxious, but obviously the Astros. And it's been so long, even like the Dodgers, stuff like that. Like it's kind of a relief. Like I'm really excited about this World Series.
yeah,
I really
oh, yeah.
am.
I'm excited too.
So it's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah. All right. Trivia question. You ready?
Am I? I don't know. Is it gonna be tough? Because I feel like you've been nailing them lately. I've been sucking it up.
I think this one's it's not difficult. I feel like you'll get it. So the question is, Julio Rodriguez is the fourth player in his age 22nd season or younger to have a 30-30 season. Who is the youngest?
Do 30-30. I know Corbin Carroll. Didn't he just do it?
No, I
But he's
think
not
he
the
only did
youngest.
2020. He didn't do 30-30.
2020. This is tough. I I know there's some big names in here. Did Ken Griffey do it? Did Barry Bonds do it? These names are coming up to me.
They are not the youngest
Um,
to do it. I think they might have done it, but the only answer I have is who the youngest is.
whew. This is a big name.
Yeah, I would say so.
Is it a more recent or a more historical player?
Yeah,
This is the hint
he's
I'll have.
recent.
Okay. Did Mike Trout do it?
Mike Trout in his age 20 season did it 2012.
Okay. That's what I
So
thought. I remember.
good job, Shane.
Oh,
Well, Shane is cutting in and out there. It looks like he may be having some more internet issues, but just want to say thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on Instagram, DM us any questions or topics. And we'll be back next Wednesday in the heart of the World Series. Oh man, this is exciting. It's going to be a great one. Hopefully everybody tunes into the World Series. We'll see y'all next week.